Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming into another session of Edible Software. Today, what we're going to be talking about is physical inventory. So, this is the first training on our inventory module. Any questions about the purchases or sales? We have done videos on that. So, if you have questions, please let us know. We can send you those videos. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. So, we are skipping some of this information today. We are going to be rounding back around to it. Today, we're talking specifically about physical inventory counts because we believe this does deserve its own area. So, the first step to starting a physical inventory count is creating a snapshot. So, the first thing we're going to do is come down to inventory, physical, make physical inventory snapshot. So a snapshot essentially is just a capturing of what currently exists in Edible software as far as your inventory is concerned. We are going to be taking a snapshot of everything. You may not be counting everything, but that's perfectly okay. So this is literally just taking a picture. Before you start the snapshot, however, just a couple of notes. We recommend that every transaction that you may have open in the system, whether it be open transfers, open sales orders, open purchase orders, whatever the case may be, that everything is closed before you start the counting process, before you take the snapshot. The reason being is once you take the snapshot, it starts the counting process. And if anything moves within the system while you're counting, it could cause problems later on when you try to post this inventory count. So just bear that in mind. Any sales orders that you have open, go ahead and mark them as shipped if the inventory doesn't need to be counted. If the inventory is still in the warehouse and it does need to be counted, make sure that it is not removed and that those orders that are open are not marked as shipped. The other thing is any purchase orders where the inventory has been received, go ahead and mark those as received so that they are included in the snapshot. And of course, any open transfers that aren't moving yet, go ahead and uh, keep them set and not updated. So when we do a snapshot, we're going to be doing a snapshot for a particular day, and this day is going to be when the counted quantity is posted, and we're going to be counting for a specific warehouse. So we are going to be, if you do need to count for multiple warehouses, you are going to be doing separate snapshots for each. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the warehouse I'm going to do the snapshot for. I'm going to choose the date that I plan on posting this inventory as of. And depending on how you're running the system, you may be running lot mode or non-lot mode. If you are running non-lot mode, then this is really the only other setting that's available is make item lots with zero quantity on hand available for physical count. Essentially, all that means is if Edible counts a lot at zero quantity, then if this is not checked, it's going to ignore it. So when we count, we won't have that item or that lot available. However, if you are not totally sure if it is zero quantity, maybe you want to just make sure, we can go ahead and leave that checked or go ahead and check it. The other option, if you're in lot mode, you'll see an option essentially works along with it is making items lots available as of a certain date. So if they were marked as zero quantity as of a certain date, then we can go ahead and just be a little bit more specific about what is available. So if the on hand amount was zeroed out so many days ago, maybe we still want to check it. But obviously, if it was zeroed out 5 months ago, then we trust Edible to know that it is zero quantity. So there are a couple of options depending on how you're running this system. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this as is. I'll go ahead and check it, why not? And then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So this is a warning mentioning exactly what I was talking about before. If you have open sales orders scheduled for shipping on this date or before, it's going to recommend that you go ahead and close those out and then redo the snapshot. If you are sure that everything is good and you know that these open orders are not going to be moved, then we go ahead and just click OK or click yes. If you need to ship those out, go ahead and click no. ship those orders, and then go ahead and rerun this snapshot. All right. And then you'll get a message at the end just essentially saying what exactly has happened. We've taken a snapshot or we've taken a picture of our inventory as of this date. All right. So that is the first step. Now the counting process has started. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and create the individual count sheets that we will be using to enter in our counted quantities. So I'm going to come back down to inventory, same area under physical, and I'm going to choose the option physical inventory count sheets. So in this screen, I will see any warehouses. I can choose between all my warehouses. But of course, if a warehouse does not have a snapshot for it, you will not see a physical inventory date. So that physical inventory date is referencing the snapshot date, and you'll be able to create count sheets from there. If a warehouse does not have a physical inventory or a count sheet date, essentially, you will not be able to create a count sheet for it. So I'll come back up to this warehouse. I'm going to click New on the right side, and this is where I'm going to start adding my items. So you can perform a full physical whenever you want. However, you could also just perform what we call cycle counts. So if you just have a certain number of items, or maybe just a particular area of the warehouse that you want to count, then you can go ahead and create cycle counts if you wanted to. This is also a feature that's good if you are doing a full physical, but maybe you don't want to have the same items listed on multiple count sheets. Maybe you're having certain counters count certain areas of the warehouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create this count sheet with the items specified. Now we can choose by groups. If I have specific groups that I want to count, I can choose by item types if I have certain types that I want them to count, or you can also go by category under here as well. Or we can go by the buyer, referencing the inventory item in the item master. And then, of course, we could just choose the specific inventory items that we want to count. So if I go ahead and hit selected here, I hit the pound sign, I can go ahead and start selecting my individual items. So I'm going to go ahead and just select a couple of these. Go celery dice. Let's go ahead and go smoked drumsticks. Let's go ahead and jump down here and we'll go retail mussels. And I'm holding down control just like any of our normal inventory selection screens. I hold down control and I will be able to select multiple items for this count sheet. Once I'm done selecting my items, I go ahead and click OK and click Add. So that will add all of the items that I have available to count into this count sheet. When I'm done, I go ahead and click Save and click OK. And so now that has created this count sheet. Now, if I wanted to add all my items to the count sheet, I could create another one. I can click New, just mark this as all and click Add, and it will add all of my items. So I could just go ahead and do a full physical with one count sheet if I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. Now, just like I said before, you can create multiple count sheets. So if I click New again, I can select other items. So let's go ahead and go with this hot sausage over here. Let's go ahead and go with this bouquet. And let's just say those are the only two items I want for that count sheet. So again, I'll click Save. Oh, first things first, click Add. Order of operations, always good. Click Save. Go ahead and click OK. And now we have two count sheets that we can print out and send to our counters so they can start working. So to print these out, I can go ahead and select the count sheet, click Print. And here we have a couple of options on how to order items or what to show on the count sheet itself. So I can order by description, by code, or for those of you who are actually using slot numbers in Edible, you can order by the slot number as well. So of course, this is very nice if any of you have your warehouses set up by slot numbers. It makes it nice to help the counters go directly where they need to go. All right. Otherwise, we can group by item type. We can exclude sold out items. We can print the items with slot assigned. We can print snapshot quantities. The print snapshot quantities Kind of divisive. I like it. A couple of people I know like it, but otherwise, some people don't like to use it. The reason being is what it's doing is it is printing, like it says, the snapshot quantity. So if I counted 10 cases for this 4410 item on count sheet one, it will show that. Now, it's nice to know what edible considers in there so that there's something to compare to, but we also don't want counters becoming complacent and just saying, okay, yeah, that's it. So, of course, that's always an option. You don't have to include that. And then, of course, you can print the inventory country of origin as well. Uh, you can print this or you can export it to clean it up even further if you wanted to, but this is essentially what the count sheet looks like. It will tell you which count sheet it is. It'll tell you for what warehouse, what date, and it will include the items on here. So for your catch weight items, it is going to include if you're not running in lot mode like I am running non-lot mode. It is going to include lots for catch weight items. However, it's not going to include individual lots for the regular items. So you will see that separated, and that is primarily because we are capturing the weight for the catch weight items as well. Or if you're just counting quantity, you're just counting quantity. But either way, that is how the system works. So, of course, it will also consider the unit of measure, the pack size, the quantity. When we get into the count sheet area where you enter in the counts, I'll show you that you can change the unit of measure. So in here, if they need to change the unit of measure, they can go ahead and just cross that out and indicate what you're counting in. And so you can change that when you're actually posting. So that's essentially what the count sheet looks like. So you'll go ahead and print off both of those and send those to the counters and they will start counting. So once the counters have returned with the count sheets, we'll go into the same area, inventory, physical inventory count sheets. We will select the count sheet that we're going to be entering quantities in for and click this count sheet details tab at the top right. So when we're in here, we have the ability to go ahead and start entering in the counted quantities indicated on the actual count sheet. So the way I do that is click edit and I start going on the count sheet. Okay, the mussels, they counted 25 eaches. The beef sausage, they went ahead and counted 50 cases. Celery, they went ahead and counted 65 cases. And here, if there's no lot assigned, that is indicating that this is going to be a lot that's created. So for catch weight items, like I said, if you're counting the specific lots, you'll go ahead and count those. If there was a lot that didn't show up in here, then we would just go ahead and put that quantity against here, and that would create that S lot or that system lot. But I'm just going to go ahead and put in what I need. Now, let's say the counted quantity matched exactly what the snapshot quantity was. So I don't need to actually, and they indicated that on the count sheet. So I don't actually need to put anything here if I don't want to. It was 10 and they counted 10. So if I wanted to, I can put 10 and that would essentially do nothing to the count. However, this is a catch weight item, so it would affect your weight. So if I wanted to just leave that alone, then I would simply skip it. The reason being, the reason I mention that is because you see, as I've entered in these quantities, these have been marked with a checkbox or a check mark, and it has been marked as counted. So if I mark something as counted, say, just checking the mark and leaving that at 0, that's indicating that there was nothing found, and I'm going to zero out that item. So, very important to know, this one is simply going to be skipped. So if there was 10 counted and there was 10 in the snapshot quantity, I'm just ignoring it. So nothing will happen when I post. There will still be 10 for that lot once I post. However, for this one, if it was the same thing, but I accidentally marked it as counted, this is going to post as 0 because I have that counted check mark. So just make sure that you know exactly what is needing to be skipped, what's needing to be counted. As I mentioned, you can also change the units of measure. So if they actually counted in eaches, you can go ahead and change that, or counted in 5 pound bags, whatever the case, you can go ahead and enter that information in. Of course, there are bulk options. You can mark all things as counted. So this is a really easy way to basically clear out your entire warehouse if you wanted to. Don't put anything in the counted quantity and just mark all as counted. And that would zero everything out. Of course, you can reset if this doesn't look correct, or maybe you started and you said, oh, wait, this is count sheet 2. You could go ahead and just cancel this and re-edit, or you can just mark it as none counted and re-enter those quantities as needed. You also have the ability to add lines to a count sheet. Let's say the counter went ahead and found something that wasn't initially on the count sheet, but we want to make sure that we have that available so that we can sell it. So we look on the count sheet. He wrote in the item code and everything like that. So when I click add line on the right side, I have a couple of options. The first option is add current item. So whatever item was selected last in here, when I click add current item, it's just going to add that item again. The reason you could do this as well is maybe there's another lot if you're running in lot mode. Maybe there is another unit of measure that you're counting in. We counted initially in 65 5 pound bags, but then I also found 10 cases along with that. So I could go ahead and put that information in. And if you're running in non-lot mode, that would go ahead and create an S lot for that. If I click add line and I say add items from the current count sheet, it's simply going to bring up a list of the items that I currently have in my count sheet, so I can just select which one I need to add. If I wanted to add items from the current snapshot, so maybe it's something that wasn't part of the count sheet, but I need to go ahead and add it to the count sheet. I'll go ahead and click add items from the current snapshot, and that will give me everything that was available in the snapshot. Now, let's say you may have created the snapshot, but you didn't select that option to make item lots available if they were 0. So the last option is add active item that was not included into the snapshot. So if you wanted to, you could select that option. And the reason there was nothing to the reason that there was nothing to select is because I selected that option, so pretty much everything was in my current snapshot. But if you wanted to, you could add that item if it wasn't in the snapshot and simply add that to the count sheet itself. But once we are done, we have all of our counted quantities. We can go ahead and click save. And if we are completely done in here, so you can save this, nothing has happened, nothing has been done as far as our counted quantities are concerned. We can save this and go back to it later on as needed. But if I am completely done, I can go ahead and just mark as entered. So I'll click OK. So now this sheet is marked as entered. It is basically ready for the next step, which is consolidating and posting. So you'll see if I have a spreadsheet that is, or a count sheet that is marked as entered, when I go into the count sheet details, I have the ability to see everything, but I do not have the ability to edit anything. So here we go. I've got an open count sheet. I need to go ahead and click that. I will not be able to post a count unless all of my open count sheets are ready or marked as entered. So if I had 2 count sheets, I would have to make sure that both were marked as entered before I could consolidate and post. If I don't need the secondary count sheet, of course, I could always void it and I would be good to go. But I'm going to go ahead and count. Click edit. And again, just make sure I'm counting what I want. Save and mark as entered. So both count sheets are marked as entered. At any point, I could, before consolidating or before posting, I should say, I can void the count sheets in here. I can come in and say, you know what, I need to start over or something went wrong. So I need to go ahead and just void these and forget about it. So that is always an option at any given point. I'm going to go ahead and close this because both of my count sheets are marked as entered. I'm going to go ahead and go to the last step under inventory physical, which is process and post physical counts or physical inventory counts. So in this screen, it's going to select the warehouse that we have. Now, if I wanted to select a different warehouse, I could go ahead and select a different warehouse. But this, of course, is the one that I've been working on. And initially, it's going to show you the entire snapshot. So we're seeing a lot of items that have zero quantities that we didn't count for. That's perfectly fine. That's just what it's showing right now. If on the right side, I want to go ahead and limit it to what I actually counted, I'm going to go ahead and just hit counted items. So here I've got my items and I've got my quantities. So it is still showing if we had these catch weight items, it's showing the lots as well. So that's all perfectly good. And what I can do is I could even show lots for the other items as well. So here I've got a lot of items that I am showing my lots for. And if I wanted to look up specifically some of these options, I could go ahead and double click on the quantity. So if I double click on the quantity on the, excuse me, if I double click on the quantity for an item, I can go ahead and update. This is a last ditch effort to update a counted quantity or even a counted flag before I process and post. So if I needed to, if I realized, oh, I counted 10 bouquets, but I miskeyed, it's supposed to be 20. If I double click on that counted quantity, I click edit here, and I can go ahead and enter in the quantity and save. So the other thing that I did mention, and I apologize, is when I enter in a quantity for a catch weight item, the catch weight that shows, or the counted weight that shows, is based on the factor of the item in the item master. Now, that depends also on your settings in the item master. We could go based on the factor. We could go based on the average weight purchased or last weight purchased. There's a couple of different options in the item master miscellaneous 2 tab that you could work with. However, if I needed to change that, I can go ahead again, double click the quantity, click edit, and then I can go ahead and update and realize, oh, I actually weighed this and it was 298.56. And click save, and we're good. So then, and if I double click on something like a lot that wasn't counted, it'll still bring up the page, but of course there's nothing to actually edit. So that is our last effort to make changes to the actual count sheet itself. After I am perfectly set and I say, okay, I want to go ahead and finish and complete this, I'm going to go ahead and click consolidate. The consolidate button does 2 things. If you have multiple count sheets, it's going to combine all of those count sheets into one giant count. The second thing is it's going to look at all of your count sheets. If I had the same item maybe in 2 separate areas of the warehouse, and I counted in this area and then counted in this area, it would combine those counts for that item. If you are working in lot mode, it would do that for specific lots. So if I kept that lot in this slot over here and then in this slot over here, it would combine that those counted quantities for that same lot. So that is basically what the consolidate button does. So I'm going to go ahead and click consolidate. This is essentially telling you once you click consolidate, there's no going back. You either only have 2 options, which I will show you after I click yes. So I've clicked yes, I've consolidated this inventory count. Now I only have 2 options, void or post. So if I go in and I notice, oh, there's a lot of issues that I missed. This was actually supposed to be 16. This was actually supposed to be 51, whatever the case may be. You'll notice after I consolidate, I cannot edit that information. I can review it, but I can't edit it. So after you consolidate, if you do notice a lot of issues, you'll want to go ahead and void and start over. That might be the easiest thing. Now, of course, if it is just 1 or 2 issues, then you always do have the ability to go ahead and post what you did and then fix it with an inventory adjustment afterwards as of the same date. Completely up to you how you want to do that, but essentially those are your two options after consolidating the count. So I'm going to go ahead and click post and click yes, and I'll click OK. And so that message showed that everything posted successfully, and that is because, of course, I didn't move anything around during the counting process. Some of you may receive a message stating that certain counts were partially posted, and some could not be. So if that's the case, if you see those unposted quantities, you can see unposted items, and you can show the lots that were unable to be posted. Those happen because things moved between the counting process. Between the snapshot and posting, something sold, something transferred, whatever the case may be, something happened to conflict with what was actually posted. So in that case, we do have the ability to edit the quantity adjustment and move on from there. What we are going to be doing, just so you know, as a side note, we do have documentation for our physical inventory, which we will be sending out with this video. So that document goes into a little bit more information as far as common questions and answers. So we do have that coming as well. But once I've posted, that's it. My inventory adjustments have been made on the back end with the physical inventory stamp. So if I ran an inventory adjustments report for that date, I would see all of those adjustments. So if I ran for the 30th and I just run for everything, I click preview. Here are all of the adjustments made, and it shows me of course, the PO number, the line number, and everything like that. And this is the reason code. This 000 is simply meaning physical inventory. So that's hard coded into the system. The other report that, of course, is very popular to run after the posting has been done is the comparison report. So if you go back under inventory and physical, you go to comparison report. This is going to show you based on the snapshot date. And of course, you can show details with assigned lot numbers. You can show details with alternate lot numbers, or you can show no details. You can order by item code. You can do a subtotal by item type. So those are some of the options that you have there, of course. But when I run this report, it's just going to show me my item codes. Of course, this is without details. If I wanted to show lot details, I could show the lot details. But this is showing you your item code, the quantity that you counted in, the quantity computed or the snapshot quantity, the quantity counted, and the adjustment quantity. So essentially, very similar to the adjustment report, but just a little bit more basic as far as the details are concerned. Now, of course, if I went ahead and ran with details, that would show me all of my lot information as well. All right. So that is essentially our physical inventory steps. If you have any questions, of course, please feel free to send those over to us, and we will send those out with the video as well as with the document. Thank you, everybody, for coming in today, and I hope that you have a great day. And I will see you again next week when we talk about packouts. Have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.